The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on November 14th, 2023.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. Now here's your host, Pam Tumpop. Good morning, Pam.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you this beautiful day?
Very good. It's a nice rainy day here in Wailuku.
Oh, yeah, it's looking pretty overcast up here in Pukalani. Thank you so much for opening the show and all you do. I want to welcome everybody to Business Matters this morning, brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. I am your host, Pamela Tumpop, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and today we're going to talk with Oahu Mayor Rick Blangiardi, and we'll talk about the Kokua Maui initiative and how the city and county of Honolulu is assisting Maui during these difficult times. And then we're going to bring back our friend, Dr. Eugene Tian, who is with the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, and he is going to provide us with an economic update relative to the travel industry on Maui and how the recovery effort is progressing. But first, we have Mayor Rick Blangiardi, Oahu's mayor, here with us to talk about amazing programs to help us out on Maui. Good morning, Mayor Blangiardi. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Pam. Good morning to you, and I'm really pleased to have a chance to talk about this. We're very excited over here in Oahu.
Oh, we are so thrilled. I know that you and all the mayors came over to meet with Mayor Bisson and announce this initiative. Can you talk a little bit about Kokua Maui and what it means to you?
Well, this is the ultimate in collaboration because it's the state and it's the city and county of Maui, and it's the county of Maui, and then it's the state, city, and county of in Honolulu, and then, of course, Kauai and Hawaii Island. So we're all going to be participating on it. And the essence is that we know not everyone from Oahu can get over to Maui, but this is bringing Maui to our island and giving our folks a chance to show their support. And so, it will be this weekend, as you mentioned, Sunday, November 9th, at the Blaisdell from 10 to 6. Admission will be free, but there will be more than 70 vendors from Maui coming over, showcasing everything from art and food and just, clothing and then also musical entertainment. And so we're just excited to have Maui come to Oahu, if you will, but the opportunity more than anything for Oahu to show its love and its concern and aloha for the folks of Maui.
We have been very blessed and seen such a great outpouring, and we are so grateful that all the mayors in each island across our state has really reached out and been there for us and continues to be there for us. And we're so excited to have vendors come over and get to share their amazing crafts. We always say made by local hands and hearts, but particularly with our neighbor island family, and to be on Oahu with the people who've been caring so much and doing so much to help us out. What do you?
Pam, if I say anything on this radio show this morning, I would tell you that all of us feel like we cannot do enough for the people of Maui, and it's an incredible feeling to have because you want to help in so many ways, and we're just grateful for an opportunity like this. And I know it's not just going to be Sunday at the Blaisdell, but on Monday and Tuesday at the Royal Hawaiian Center on the 4th floor on the Lanai area up there from 2 to 8. Again, admission is free, but we want it to be a very impactful experience, and hopefully a lot of good will get done to help the people over there.
Well, I love that you're saying that. And excuse me, we recently had a fire truck donated to us, and the police chief from California who donated, his team donated one of their fire trucks to us. He said one of the most important things that happened was that they made the call to offer to help, and that the team on Maui said yes, so that they could be a part of our recovery because they so wanted to be a part of this and cared so much. And clearly that's happening here across the island and on Oahu. And I know you've got, as you mentioned, 3 spectacular days planned to help all of these companies. And they've been working hard because we just had the Made in Maui County Festival. So many of these companies have been so excited that not only did they make a ton of products for the Made in Maui County Festival, but they've continued making because they want to share the products and the aloha with everyone on Oahu.
Look, I know all of us wish this never happened, but it did happen. And what's incredible about this experience in the midst of all this adversity is that it gives us a chance to showcase who we are as a people and the love and aloha we have for each other, whether you live on this island or not. And so this is that kind of an opportunity, and we're just really grateful that we can have an opportunity to help the folks of Maui. And I'm really hoping for a great success over this not next, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday coming week.
It's
right before Thanksgiving. It's a great time. It's right before Thanksgiving.
It's a perfect time. It really is. It has been such a great time. And before we got on this morning on the radio show, you and I had just a brief moment to talk, and I know you're going to talk about the importance of preparedness. But, we also have to remember, there's been so much going on since COVID, and one of the things you folks were dealing with on Oahu, which we all watched just in horror, and our hearts went out to people on Oahu, was Red Hill.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit about how that is progressing? And
well, sure, I'll be happy to. I mean, look, again, Red Hill was another event that was unimaginable, just like the fires in Maui. For that matter, COVID, I think in terms of being in office now nearly 3 years, and we've had these 3 big seminal events. We came in during COVID, but all of that, and then Red Hill. So Red Hill, is an incredible event in that, I don't know if people realize, but there's 20 tanks that were built in the early 40s. Each one of those is as big as bigger than the Statue of Liberty. So I don't think people have that perspective of just how much fuel is in there and what all that entails. So right now, given everything else that's been said, the defueling is on schedule, on time, going very well. We're in constant contact with the Navy. We've had briefings assured of the safety of all of this. And so once that's happened, then the tanks then are going to be fully decommissioned. But, we're just getting on to the next chapter. But it has been quite an ordeal over the last 2 years. It continues, obviously, in the minds of people because you're talking about water and the very basic essence of need in our lives. So This was it's a very scary situation for people to have lived through, and some people were harmed by it, and there's lawsuits and everything else that's going to go on. It is going on. It's just really one of those just unfortunate, I want to say it again, unimaginable events, but it happened. So it should be a lesson to all of us in this world. Take nothing for granted, and more than anything, these kind of challenges, we just have to rise to the occasion and deal with it, with the strength and the courage that we know we have as a people. And that's what this is about, is overcoming that adversity and going on.
That is so well said. And I really was so impressed by the champions. I mean, the folks who were impacted by just this tainted water, who kept getting answers that just didn't make sense. And they kept pursuing and pursuing and pursuing, saying, this is not right. We're not standing for it.
Yeah, I can tell you in the beginning, I actually didn't think the military was going to defuel the tanks. Right at the outset, the first week or two, and the conversations were going on, because they were deemed so critical to our national security. But so many things changed in the course of even just a few months. From the highest levels of the country, we were visited by, the Secretary of the Navy. We've been dealing with Indo-PACOM and Admiral. These guys have all been terrific and very professional. But at the end of the day, they quickly understood the threat that it represented and did the unthinkable, if you will, because I can promise you, before that happened, there was a lot of plans about relining the tanks and going into the future and so on and so forth. All of that is done now.
Yeah. Well, and with all the media coverage we got, it sort of diffuses how important it is to our national security. Everything is known now.
Well, it just develops a different strategy, and I guess that's what the whole thing is about, right? That's even what's happening in Maui, is test of our own resiliency. And this is what this is about. It's one of the things that we look at, too, is just, as I said a few moments ago, we need to overcome adversity. I mean, if you stop and think about what's going on in the world right now, and I don't want to go off any tangents, but between Ukraine and these are incredible events that are being staged, that we're witnessing, that are beyond, again, even our imagination. So we live in the most challenging of times, and we have to keep that in mind, that for all the great things we have here, take nothing for granted, because nothing is guaranteed, and you've got to be strong. And that's, I've been hearing over and over again about Maui Strong. We even painted a big billboard downtown, Maui Strong. So you have our love and our support here, and we're, what I'm really impressed about, we did that probably 7 weeks ago on a Saturday. Not even one little scratch of graffiti on that thing. It's remained in pristine shape right in the middle of downtown, and it runs pretty much a city block.
Wow. Oh my goodness, we are so grateful, and in this day and age, like you said, not have a speck on it when things are so quickly normally written on fairly quickly because people just want to add on to the message. That's really remarkable and deeply shows how much everybody cares and the level of respect that they have. You mentioned again Mililani. You folks just had big fires in Mililani.
Yeah, we did. Fortunately, they were in a place where they didn't threaten any of our homes or areas of any property value. But I would tell you that I think we lost in the end some 1,300 to 1,500 acres. But I really want to tip my hat to our fire department here, Honolulu Fire Department. Did a remarkable job, and we had the benefit of help from the military. We had Chinooks and Blackhawks. The military helicopters can drop 2,000 gallons of water at a time. Where our Hawaii Honolulu Fire Department can only, our 2 helicopters, the buckets are only 100 gallons, so they can show you in comparison. And it was really a great coming together. The military was a great partner in this, in helping us deal with that, because all of that was being done through the air, and it wasn't until we had the fire well under containment that actually ground crews were in there to deal with some of the smoldering. So it was an incredible event. They kept it contained and uncontrolled. And it was really incredible joint effort. Everybody, I think, was really grateful. It just shows you, though, the potential of these fires and how much damage they can do.
Yes. So as we look moving forward, I know, of course, everybody on Maui these days is creating fire breaks. We've had a lot of people working across the island. We don't do a lot of forestry management the way they do on the mainland, so we don't often have a lot of the forestry breaks there. And then, of course, that kind of butts up against a lot of agriculture. So I know we've seen a lot of major mowing and taking things down and trimming trees. What kinds of things are happening on Oahu to be more resilient against the fires?
Well, I think there's a lot going on. I think, first of all, we've really tried to make the community as aware as we can. We've asked them to do things internally from the city operations. We've gone through and assembled, a really great team of people in doing our risk assessment and also working, again, in conjunction with our fire department on anything and everything we can. We did an educational program throughout all of last month. We're doing everything we can to make the public aware that everybody has to help in this situation. Right. And so, in that regard, I think we've come a long way, not only creating awareness, but as you've mentioned, people have created some fire breaks. We've asked people to cut grass down. In our risk assessment, we know where the areas are that are vulnerable. And look, we have a lot of, given the weather conditions, we have a lot of dry grass over here. We know the susceptibility of the vulnerability, and we're cautioning people on that. And I think, like anything, Maui has proven to be a big wake-up call because of the incredible disaster that it represents. And so nobody's saying we're bluffing. The Mililani fires proved that to a lot of people. There was a lot of concern, even though it wasn't a threat. So hopefully, with the help of the community and who we are as people, we'll do everything we can to mitigate it. But these things can happen. And we are vulnerable. We've got weather conditions and dryness that is so pervasive that it's very real. So each and every day we've got to be on alert.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And people, I'm sure everybody is really hearing that now. I'm sure people also were surprised when Mililani broke out. I mean, we were. And again, we've got new conditions. I always said of all the time that I've lived here in Hawaii over 40 years, never have I seen a hurricane without rain. And so, the perfect
Right.
storm with Dora going bananas, and really, as we're on water rations up country right now, and things are still very dry. So we're trying to get everybody out as well, and really, and we have. I mean, we have seen our community come together and really taking, trimming trees, getting things away from the telephone lines and the power lines, creating those fire breaks, and there's, with all we've learned, there's so much to do. And we're still behind, but we can catch up, and we have to catch up.
What's the attitude, Pam? That's it. You got to, my old sports background, but you got to think like a winner here. We can't dwell. You can't become the victim. You've got to be able to, say, okay, what can we do about this? That's really the pivotal point. It's not about, it's just you saying, you know what, this is unacceptable, and what are we going to do about it? And so to that end, we're trying to motivate people to understand we're living with a different reality. We have different threats. These are real, and we all need to be aware. We all need to help.
Yeah. And everybody can do something today since you're listening to the show. Take action today. Think about it. I know in our household immediately when things are going on, we not only looked at what our fire plan is within our home, but we started to look at what the fire plan would be in our neighborhood and what would be the critical access routes. And we started mapping that out and just better understanding. And the other thing I want to tell people is, and we've certainly learned this, that your local fire department is amazing. That they will come out. They will talk to the local community. They will teach you about fire safety and preparedness. And now's the time to do that when we're not under the gun, when they're not stressed and putting their lives on the line. And we can help them best help us by understanding what we can do. And so I really want to encourage everybody to do that.
I appreciate that message. We're really blessed. And I'm not just familiar on the island of Maui, as I've certainly become over the last several years as mayor. But our first responders, police, fire, EMS, our ocean safety guys, they're all the best of the best. And I'm not just saying that. And we saw that manifest here on the water last week and how they dealt with that fire. But I've gotten to know not only the leadership, but the rank and file, if you will, and the commitment and the passion. So, we're in good hands that way, but we all have to help. But we're really blessed to have incredible people who willing to put their life on the line each and every day because nobody knows for certain what's going to happen. And they're there, and we've seen it manifest itself now through several challenges. And so, everybody's got to help. We don't have enough of them. They need our help, too.
That's absolutely right. And so many of our firefighters lost their homes while fighting and protecting others.
That's right.
Yeah.
On the mainland, when there's a brush fire, they out in the world, they let it go when the winds get to be 25 miles an hour. Those men were battling 70-mile-an-hour winds, which was absolutely incredible, and what they were trying to get done in during that time against overwhelming odds, as we now know. But you want to talk about heroism? That's incredible bravery in the face of what could easily kill you.
We all need to thank our police and firefighters and EMTs. I don't think they get enough thanks for the amazing
I don't think so either. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I've become a real cheerleader. Because I recognize the fact that they get up in the morning and they're not sure. They're never guaranteed. And that could be across the board with any of them if they're going to come home that night. And people who live like that have a very special form of courage, and they need to be supported.
Absolutely. Well, to round it out, I do want to talk a little bit about, because you and your team are going all out for us, and I can't wait to go and see the Maui Strong Wall when I'm there in Honolulu next week with you. But let's just talk also a little bit about the 19th event. We talked a little bit about it, but you folks are, you're housing a lot of Maui people to come over on the 19th.
Well, we're really pleased.
This is your event.
Blaisdell Center. No, we're really pleased. We have the Blaisdell Center. We have that venue. It's been refurbished lately, and I think I said it's going to be more than 70 vendors from Maui, not counting the musical acts. I think there's a halal that's coming over, maybe 2. I don't have all the breakdown, but I'm just really pleased that we have that kind of a central venue that we know as people go to quite easy. So it's, that we can we can just help with this. I think that's how we all feel. This is like a great idea. We want to be sure it comes off well. It's an opportunity, like I said, not everybody can get over to Maui. Maui comes to us. It show them the kind of aloha and respect and just the deep heartfelt feelings everybody has for the incredible tragedy that happened there.
Well, we can't wait. I know the vendors and the businesses that are coming over. It's a tremendous help. As you know, and I know you've seen, I actually have not been in many of the areas that you have been to, but I know you've seen firsthand the tremendous devastation. And these makers
took us through. We drove through all the 5 square miles. I think we probably went through up and down almost every street. We saw it close. We got out of the car a few times, talked to people there going through the rubble, trying to see if they could have any of the remains. Truly heartbreaking. I spent a lot of years in media. I've watched a lot of video over that time. You can gain a lot from watching video, but when you're actually in a place like that at ground zero and you're there, it's a very different reality than what people see on television or watching video on some electronic device. Being there was incredibly stark, for want of a better word. So we want to do whatever we can do to help.
Well, we are grateful. A lot of these vendors who are coming over, some of them lost their homes.
Oh, well, look, I'll look for you on Sunday, Pam.
Yeah, please look for me. I'll be there, and we're
right.
going to have a great time. And Mayor, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for coming on today. I want to let everybody know we reached out to Mayor Blangiardi, and in his very busy schedule and during his exercise time this morning, he has set time aside for us. So he's going to go get back to his routine. But I will be there. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for the great help, and I just wish you blessings and aloha until I see you next week.
All right, Pam. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Best to everybody on Maui. Aloha.
Thank you so much. Aloha. Well, as I'm going to ask Gary to connect with Dr. Eugene Tian, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on today and through the 17th, if you haven't heard, and I will be there later. They have moved the 22nd Annual Native Hawaiian Convention, presented by Lily. They have moved it to Maui, here at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. The Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement is helping to put on this extraordinary conference. And you can go online. If you go to hawaiiancouncil.org, you can view the agenda. It kicks off this morning. Given the radio show, I'm going to be a little bit late, but they just have so many exciting discussions and things planned, community activities. They have really a jam-packed agenda. And so today they've got a lot of things going on. I'm going to take a quick look. And they also have their Maui Makeke. They've got local vendors from Maui. You can shop Maui-based products that represent the unique culture, spirit, and artistry of our people. So again, so many of our businesses have come together, and the pop-up Makeke program and now the Maui Makeke program here is going to be amazing. They too are going to have some delicious grinds from local food trucks. And a great resource fair from 8 a.m. to 3:30, helping people connect with organizations and resources and learn so much more about what is being done on the Maui recovery effort. Okay, well, Gary's got Dr. Eugene Tian, so just check it out. If you haven't seen or heard about this amazing conference happening on Maui at the MAC from the 14th through the 17th this week, great programs, lots of local infusion with local speakers, as well as people from across the state. So we're very excited to have that on our island, and they're part of our Kukua for Maui month as well. And just they've made great strides to bring everything here. So I hope you can join in. And now we've got Dr. Eugene Tian. Good morning, Eugene. It's so great to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on the show again.
we are so thrilled to have you give us an update. With all that you've been going on. And last time we spoke, you were going on a trip, so you're now back from your trip. And you were going. I believe you were going to China.
Yes. I was there for 3 weeks, and now back for about a month.
Oh, that's awesome! We're so thrilled to have you back, and again doing all the amazing work that you continue to do with your team. I've been really excited to see some of the new progressions in the way visitor data has been collected, and also how it can be manipulated to get different data sets and let people customize some of the data, which is pretty exciting.
Yes, I think the Maui, the impact from the wildfire is mainly and there are several. I think from the economic side, is the visitor industry is impacted, because in August the visitor arrivals on Maui decreased by about 57%. In September, another 57% decrease. So August, September. So the October number will be coming by the end of this month. But we do see from the daily passenger count to Maui before the wildfire is about 7,000 a day.
Yes.
And it's down to 2,000 a day at the beginning of the wildfire. Yeah. Now it's back to about 4,200 a day. So which means that we're still down by about 30% compared with the same period last year. So we are down 30%. So which means that we recover about 70%. But it's still a long way to go. And I look at the airline, the bookings or the airline schedules for the next 3 months up to January.
Yeah.
We still see about 20% decrease in terms of flight air seats to Kahului, which means the visitor recovery, if it is recover, it won't be until the second half of next year or toward the end of next year. Yeah.
Well, that's really helpful to know. Not the news we'd all love to hear, but important news, because everyday businesses on Maui are making decisions about how to pivot or move forward or where they're going. So it's critical for them to get that sense. And we're hearing that the other thing that's happening, and as you're looking at the airline data looking forward, we're also hearing that a lot of bookings are happening much later than they used to.
Yeah, I think the people are still waiting. I think because the flights to Maui is mainly from the U.S. mainland, yes, and also from Canada. I think both from the mainland and Canada, they decreased compared with the same period a year ago, decreased by about 20%. So people are still waiting. We make some progress. I think the other islands are increasing, especially on Oahu. It has been increasing, but the increase on Oahu does not offset the decrease on Maui. So overall, we still see a decrease statewide.
Wow.
So this is from the visitor perspective, but we do see the another indicator is the employment.
Yes.
We do see some in the month of September. We do see the decrease. We lost about 5,000 jobs compared with the same month last year. So Maui Island, for example, the unemployment rate is in September was 8.4%. 8.4 compared with July before the wildfire. Maui's unemployment rate, Maui Island unemployment rate was 2.4%. 2.4% was actually the lowest in the state. So in July, then we became the highest at 8.4%.
Yeah, and I remember when people were shocked during COVID, how we made national news for several months during COVID, where we had the highest on, small Maui, in the middle of Hawaii, small Maui, had the highest unemployment in the nation. Where does that put us now?
In April 2020, Maui's unemployment rate was 34.5%.
Yeah, it was huge. Where does 8.4% put us at the national level against the nation right now?
Yeah, it's 8.4% for the national unemployment rate is about 3.8%.
Yeah,
it's higher than Hawaii. Hawaii overall is 2.8 because the Honolulu is doing better because of international recovery. The visitor to Honolulu is about 50-50, 50% from U.S. mainland, 50% from international.
Yeah.
The international recovery this year is better. We still recover about 60%. Japanese is about 32%. So that helps the Honolulu recovery. So Honolulu is doing better.
Yeah. And we're glad to hear that. And, because I know Honolulu was really seeking and needing the Japanese visitors to return. It's such a big part of their market, looking at that 30%. How is that recovery doing? And, one of the things that we're looking at on Maui is that Japanese market is really important to us, too, as we look to expand out, because they have such a love for Maui and affinity for our products that the recovery and seeing them come to Oahu is also really important to us as we're looking to build new linkages with them.
Yeah, I think the Japanese arrivals is lagging because mainly is the interest rate, exchange rate. Mm-hmm. Because on a normal year, $1 can get about 120. I think now is $1 get 150.
Right.
So that means to Japanese is very expensive.
Right.
To travel to Hawaii, but it is good for Hawaii people or U.S. people to go to Japan. So I think because of the exchange rate is going to stay for a little longer, it's mainly because of the interest rate. The U.S. interest rate is high. So that leads to a exchange rate not favored to the Japanese yen. So I think when the Federal Reserve didn't increase the interest rate, I think 2 times in a row.
Right.
They just had a meeting at the beginning of this month in November. They kept the interest rate the same. They didn't increase. The previous meeting didn't increase. So that helps the interest rate. I think people see the mortgage rate has decreased a little bit, from over 8% now is below 7%, is 7.5% to 7.7%. So it's decreased a little bit. So I think that in the long term, I think will help the Japanese to travel to Hawaii.
Yeah, so now's a great time for people to take a trip to Japan. I'm going to do that. Hawaiian Airlines has great rates, too, right now.
There's a lot of flights, yeah.
That's, this is also good to look at how we can maybe take a little time away and get great vacations over there and build relationships there and share our aloha with them while they're not coming here. But it's getting very expensive. I'm glad to hear about the mortgage rates dropping a little bit. Paul Brubaker was talking to us about a month and a half ago, and he was saying, we always talk a lot about housing, and he was saying that we, of course, we didn't build when the interest rates were really low. A lot of counties across the state, we could have better taken advantage of some of those really low interest rates during that time. But he was thinking that maybe by 2025, we would get back into more of a 5% mortgage rate. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a realistic time frame? Do you think it's sooner or later than that, given what's been going on?
Yeah, I think it should be in 2 years it will be coming down. I think so. This year, the federal government, the Federal Reserve will increase the interest rate. I think next year, it may be toward the end of next year. I think the Fed will decrease the interest rate because this is the monetary policy. The federal government has two tools to control the economy, to control the economic growth. So what do? They want to increase the economic growth, but whenever the economic growth happens, there is inflation, and they have to fight for inflation. So it's always a conflict.
Right.
And people don't know what will be the good economic growth rate and what is the inflation. So they do little by little. That's why they increased the interest rate, 25 point base, and another one. So they did 11 times in a row, and to see what happened to the economy. But I think with the economy is slowing down, and this year is going to be about 2.5%, and next year is going to be 1.5%. So with the lower economic growth, the Fed will decrease the interest rate to boost the economic activity, which means investment. Low interest rate, people will invest. So I think starting next half year, the second half of next year, I think they will start to decrease interest rate. That will help the mortgage rate.
Yeah, we're trying to help people too, especially those, impacted by the wildfires, and of course all who are still hoping for housing. I mean, we had a housing crisis before, but try and gear people up to get ready for that time when things drop. Start setting money aside, build up your reserves, and start maybe hooing up on land, working with family members to just kind of get ready for that next lower time frame. So that's really helpful to know. You talked a little bit about we are recovering. We're recovered by about 70% recovery, which is always great to hear the good news. And when we're seeing a little pressure, my gauge is when businesses are calling me saying, I'm shutting everything down. I had to furlough my employees, and it doesn't make sense for me to keep my activity business or store open. When we see that, we're really struggling. And of course, we're starting to lose some folks now who, as we're waiting for that recovery, are having to go elsewhere. What do you think as we start to move in this recovery? We've seen about 70% recover. The pressure's off a little bit, we're hearing anyway. But what do you see as sort of a stronger turnaround time? How do you think that's going to go? Are we going to continue to inch up month by month until we get into next year or 2025? Where do you see the real strong recovery coming back in?
I think the recovery will take a long time. And the tourism is only one part of the economy because we see the visitors recovering about 70%, but it's long term. The full recovery on Maui will be happening maybe second half of next year. But a business is another thing. When we look at the initial unemployment claims, and as of last week, the total claims is about 180,000. So but those people, the initial claim, then they get unemployment insurance, then they found jobs, and they return to work. But also, as of last week, we still see about 6,000 people are still collecting unemployment insurance. So we still have 66,000. But from the experience of Kauai, from the hurricane, and also we look at the California wildfire, and they destroyed about 10,000 homes, and 5 years. Now 5 years already. So they built about 3,000 homes. So I think the recovery for Kauai is about 12 years, and for the California wildfire, the recovery is estimated to be 10 years. I think for Maui, I think we have to be patient. I think the full recovery rebuild for Lahaina, it may take as long as 10 years. But I think the construction on Maui, I think one good news is that the construction on Maui is good, and it has been good from the beginning of the year. So we see the building permit increase is, at about 40%. And we do see the, there are, at least I see the building permit insurance in the last 12 months. I saw there are 4 hotels are under renovation, and there are some other residential projects. There's renewable energy project. So I think the starting of I think now Maui is, Lahaina is starting to remove the debris. But the real construction will start maybe in 2025, 2026. That's the starting, but it will take a few years to complete the reconstruction. So we do see the economic activity will be picking up in the 25, 26 period, and started to go maybe higher after that. And it will take as long as 10 years to be fully rebuilt.
Well, I appreciate that. It's tough news, but it's important news to share as people, are setting expectations. The television station is doing a new comparison series, has done a new comparison series with Paradise, and it's one of those things that as we plan forward, it's really important to have this data to help us kind of see where we're at and how long it's going to take. Are there numbers, updates that talk about what the devastation of the wildfires created and what the overall economic impact to our state is from the wildfires at this point?
Yeah, according to our estimate, the wildfire, though, Lahaina is a small area, but it will delay the tourism recovery by about a year, because our tourism industry is still recovering. We haven't recovered to the 2019 level.
Right.
So the recovery is about, compared with 2019, we were at about 94%. And for Maui, I think Maui was doing actually much better than other islands. Maui recovery before the wildfire was about 97%. And now Maui's recovery is down to 40, is less than 50%. It's about 48%. In September, August it was about 41%. So it's below 50%. So overall impact to the state economy will delay the economic recovery in terms of jobs, in terms of tourism by 1 year, which means the state economic full recovery, according to our estimate, will be happening in 2025. I think now will be in 2026.
Yeah. And I know as we move into the legislative session, that's going to be really important as we've got so many issues. We were talking with Mayor Blangiardi before you this morning, Eugene, and Of course, there's big issues going on Oahu still with Red Hill and a lot of things happening there, and of course we've got the wildfires and things happening here. So it's going to be, is there an estimated number as you're forecasting that the state is looking at in terms of a loss as they look to create these new programs in recovery with limited funds?
Yeah, I think I think the governor allocated. I think currently allocated about or 150 million to help Maui, and I think because of the Maui business is closed, we don't know how long it's going to be in the closed status, and our estimate is about close to 800 businesses, and the loss in terms of sales is about 2.7 million a day, and that will impact the state tax collection. I think for the homes damaged, majority of them are rental homes. So I think the rental income will decrease, and those homeowners, they actually pay taxes, general excise tax on the rental income. So we do see the state will have some challenge in terms of tax revenue. That will impact the state operation. I think the coming legislation, I think the main thing will be the budget.
Yeah.
So given that the Maui wildfire will impact the business operation, the decrease in sales, and decrease in the tax revenue, and it will impact the state operation.
Yeah. Is there a sense of a percentage of what that looks like? At one point, somebody was saying, they were looking at to Maui, a huge drop in just our tax revenue as well. Is there a sense of when the dust settles, what part of the decline Maui's going to represent for the state in the overall budget?
I think the state has a council on revenue. They do forecast the state tax revenue. And before the wildfire, the forecast stated that the state will have about 4.4% increase in the state general fund tax revenue. So that's before the wildfire, 4%. But then after the wildfire, the council revenue forecast the tax revenue will increase by 1.3%. So not from 4% to 1.3%. So the decrease is about 2.7%. So nearly 3%. So that 3%, each percentage point represent about 90 million. So if you multiply by the 3%, we are talking about the 250 million decrease in the tax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. It's staggering to think of each percent representing 90 million. That's that's a staggering thought. Really staggering. Well, we know it's going to be a very difficult budget time this coming year, and time at the state legislature. We're going to really have to re-examine our priorities and make some very tough calls. Eugene, what is, if there was a recommendation that you would make that where you see a bright spot or where Maui can work to start making strides on recovery sooner, is there an area that you'd recommend or something that you'd recommend that we look at or do in the near future to help turn our recovery around sooner?
I think for Maui, we still have a good construction activities going on. As I mentioned, there are many, the construction projects are ongoing. So actually, for the first, I looked at the building permit in the last 12 months. actually we do see Maui, the volume of building permit increased by about 45.3%. So that is a good sign. I think the building department is pretty busy by issuing a lot of the building permits. And I think in the future, they will be more busy when the rebuild started. And another thing I think is the tourism industry is impacted the largest during this, in terms of business operation. So I think the recovery has been happening. I think the October 8th was the state opening. I think the county announced that the full open happening, I think, this month. So I think that will happen. The Maui's recovery in terms of the economy. I think the businesses, we are still waiting for some of the results. I think there are several entities on the island is doing the business surveys to see how they are doing, what are their status. We are still waiting for some of the results and to decide if we, as a state agency, want to also start to do a survey to find out where the businesses are, how they are doing, what their plan into the future. We did that during the COVID. We did 4 surveys at different times. Then we found out at the beginning, for example, we found that 60% of our businesses were closed. The first month. Yeah.
You know what, Eugene, I'm going to bring you back on.
We're thinking about doing the same for Maui.
Yes, we need to do that. And we'll bring you back on. Let's talk about that. And you and I'm happy to work on that because that was such an important survey. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us again this morning. We always treasure your great insights and having you mine the data for us to share these important messages. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And for all listening, thank you for joining us for Business Matters today. It always goes quick, but we learn a lot. And I hope you have a beautiful Maui day and join us again next Tuesday. Ahuyo.